Hello everyone, I'm going to try to make a video today, sermon video. I'm going to be in 1 Corinthians 12, hopefully 4 through or 4 through 10 maybe, in the King James Version of the Bible. And it says, "And now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are diversities of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For unto one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another divers kinds of tongues, and another interpretation of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues." And I've said before, when I was making one on wisdom, that you cannot speak the word of wisdom or the word of knowledge unless you have some wisdom or you have some knowledge. And I'm going to read verse 10 again. "To another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another divers kind of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues." This video was requested, and the person was wanting me to try to do a series. I will do that if I can. I'm going to start it off today, and we'll just see how it goes. A few years ago, I came to church, and at the beginning of church, when you opened the service up, I said, "Did you come looking for a miracle?" And I could see those blank looks, blank stares. It was like, come on, Brother Dale, miracles don't happen every service. I'm here to tell you that they do. Some may not be as big as others, but they happen all the time. And I'm going to start it off today with telling you my experience. And then I don't know what to be in the other videos, but God, I'm looking forward, will help us. When I was growing up, we didn't go to church. I've told you that on another video. For the most part, we didn't go to church. But when we did, my dad took us to a denomination, and they taught us that the miracles had went down with the disciples, and there was no more. Well, I'm telling you something that, not that I've heard, but I'm telling you something that I have experienced. I have seen these miracles. I've experienced the miracles, and so I still come looking for a miracle. And I'm so glad I've witnessed the miracles that I have witnessed with my own two eyes. I've never healed anybody. I don't know of anybody that has. God does the healing and the miracles. So I'm just glad I was there and saw some of them when they happened. I've seen too many to tell you about right now, but I'm going to try to tell you maybe about a few. When I said that, I don't think I've said this yet, but when I said, "Did you come looking for a miracle?" I've had some sayings in the past, like, if the Lord says run, walking won't do. I've got that Jesus loves me feeling, and people would attribute those to me. But it seemed like this one has really been prevalent in our church, at least. They, in our foyer, they put up that on the wall. "Did you come looking for a miracle?" I go visit other churches, and that's what they repeat back to me. "Did you come looking for a miracle?" When what it takes, I've seen too many to tell you about a lot of them, but I'm going to tell you about a few. And then I don't know where the other videos will go, but we'll see. I know it takes unity for miracles. And that it takes love in your church. It takes love, it takes unity, and it takes people that don't care who gets the credit. After all, you've never done one. So how can I take credit for something I didn't do? God does it. And but when two remarkable minds join together for a common cause, what happens is miracles is what happens. I'll tell you about the first one I saw. I think I've told it in another video, sermon video, but years ago, Probably, I'm thinking it's probably 40 years ago. There was a little boy that where I went to church. He hadn't talked yet, and he was um, 2 years old plus, and his mother had him on the bench. You know, those children sometimes when they can't talk, they kind of a little disruptive. I don't think this little boy was much, but I've seen him that way, and so his mother wanted him to talk. So she had him up under the bench because, you know, that was good. And there was a man on the floor testifying. And the Lord told this woman, if you will put him on your knee, this man will lay hands on him and I will heal him. And she didn't do it. She thought he was in a good place where he wouldn't make any disturbance. So he told her the second time, and then God told her the third time. And when he told her the third time, she put the little boy on her knee, and the man came by, laid hands on the little boy, and he began to talk. Reckon when he began to talk, like 6 months or a month or a year or whatever, that night, if I'm not mistaken, it's been years ago, but he started talking. And she was going to have another child later, and and back then we didn't have where they could determine what your baby was. We didn't have gender reveals and that thing. You just waited, and that's what it was. And so because the little boy could talk, she says, what do you want to name the baby? And he thought just a minute, and he said, Dale. And she said, oh no, it can't be Dale, it's got to have two names. And he said, Dale. And they named it something else, and I was so glad. But those children, I've seen many of them. I don't know how many I'll tell you about before this thing's over, but they are like a stroke victim. They know what they want to say, they can't get it out, and I think it's a condition. I may be mistaken, but I think it's called apraxia, and those children are so precious. And I think I've told you this before, but when I was born, I weighed 4 pounds and 9 ounces, and I don't know what kind of problems I had, but my mother said my head was big when I was for the little body I had, so when I was about 10 and a half months old or whatever setting state age is, she set me down, and I was sitting. My head was so big I'd just fall over. Then she'd straighten me up. My head was so big I'd fall over the other way. She cried and cried. Didn't go to church, but she knew there was a God somewhere. And she cried. She took me to a doctor. I was born in 48, and this must have been about 1949. She took me to the doctor. They didn't know much then. And he told her, said, ma'am, if you had all the money in the world, you could not help this child. But God. I love in the scriptures when it says, but God came on the scene. I have water on the brain, very bad, very pronounced. And one time when I was going to the cancer doctor, they did a PET scan, and you could see that thing so plain. You know, instead of gray, my ventricles were dark, and Melinda saw it. But in 2001, taking a little time, but in 2001, I got where I couldn't see my eyes, my peripheral vision. I could see straight on, but when I got to a stop sign, a red light or whatever, a stop sign, I couldn't see, or just to go out on the highway, I couldn't see what lane someone was in. And Melinda, I'd say, is that in my lane, or can I pull out? And yeah, no, you can go ahead, but I don't have Melinda with me all the time. So it was very important to me that I could see for myself. So I went to a doctor that gave me the glasses, and they said they saw that I had a problem, and they stay tuned with me. Don't tune me out right now. Maybe we're going to have something else after a while. But they said it was beyond their expertise. They referred me to an ophthalmologist. They said the same thing. They say you have a problem, but it's beyond their expertise. Then he referred me, the ophthalmologist, to a neurologist ophthalmologist in Birmingham. And so he asked me questions. I dragged my feet, always have. And he asked me if I did that, and I said, yeah. And he asked me some more questions, which was yes. And he said, I think it's the water on your brain. Do you have any MRIs or CAT scans? And I said, yeah, because when I had this radiation on my head, I had those. He said, take them to Dr. Newton in Birmingham, a neurologist, and let him look at them, and he'll tell you. So we go down there, me and Melinda. I'm in the waiting room. I hand my charts, scans to the receptionist. She said, have a seat. He'll call you in a minute. I've never met the man. He's never met me. So I'm sitting in there, and the door opens, and here he comes in. He said, Mr. Cantrell? And I said, yeah. And he said, Mr. Cantrell? And I said, yeah. And he said, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good. How you doing? And he said, when you started the school, was you small for your age? And I said, yeah, because I started when I was 5 and most everybody else was 6 and 7. And he said, were you slow? Listen, I didn't know we was talking about that kind of slow. And I said, no, I could outrun about everybody. And he laughed. And he said, well, tell me about the rest of your life. And I said, I don't know what to tell you. He said, start with your birth. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it, except my mother told me that she had the flu and lost about 10 pounds, and I was born real small. And he said, I told him, I said, I finished high school, and I got married. I got drafted in the Army. I had one child and one on the way when they took me. When I came back, I had the GI Bill. I wasn't trying to live right. And so if I had to do over with, I'd probably took a trade. But I went to UAH with this water on the brain. And I was on the Dean's list. I was a member of Omicron Delta Epsilon Economic Honor Society. And not trying to impress you particularly, but I was trying, this is the conversation with the doctor. Now I knew he could not help me, and I was just ready to go. And he said, well, that's good enough right there. He said, when I came out here, I wasn't looking for you. Well, I knew that. And so I was ready to go. And I said, well, who was you looking for? He said, I was looking for a retarded man that somebody was taking, a slightly retarded man that somebody was taking care of. And I said, I'm not going to argue that point with you, but there's no one taking care of me. So if you've got children that's got problems, whatever, if it's speech or whatever, I don't want you to give up, because God can take care of that. I've seen people walk in on a walker and walk out of church carrying their walker. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to tell you more as we go along. And then, but if you don't believe in miracles, you've got to me too late. You should have got to me before I saw any. But I've seen them. I've experienced them. And I'm so thankful that we have miracles. And but I love everyone out here. I'm trying to help you. I care about you. So I'm going to give you my phone number. I've been doing that. It's 256-508-4410. If you'll call me, I can't get back to you at the beginning, at the first. I'll try to get back with you. If you would, leave me a message or text me or something telling me that you've called. And may God bless you until we see each other again.